Alright, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to my sort of year-end wrap-up video. I know I usually do a best of the year highlights type of thing around this time. Don't worry, as per usual, that's gonna be the first thing I upload in the new year. Well, probably anyway. My storage situation is a bit of a mess at the moment, and I do have a video I have to upload on the 5th, so if it does take a minute, my bad on that. Now, as far as this video goes, as some of you guys probably know, usually at the end of the best of the year video, I'll do a segment like this where I just talk about the channel, how I think things went over the course of the year, and my goals for the next year. The thing is, in last year's video, I honestly felt like that section dragged on way too long, and my notes for this year's video are literally double the length of last year's, so I figured rather than make half the video me rambling about stuff, I'd just do this part for its own video, and that way I can actually talk at length about things, instead of trying my best to abbreviate them and probably not get my point across. So with all that being said, oh boy, what a year, huh? A lot of interesting things have happened. We crossed 100,000 subscribers, which is absolutely huge. I got to be a part of a really cool event that, well, I can't tell you guys about it yet. It may or may not be that January 5th video I mentioned. And of course, the biggest thing that happened this year, I quit my job to pursue YouTube full-time. And before I even mention anything else, I just want to say that I cannot thank you guys enough for all this. I've probably said it 1,000 times before at this point, but doing YouTube has been a dream of mine ever since I was a kid, and it's entirely thanks to you guys that I'm now in a position where I can call this my actual full-time job. The support over this past year has been nothing short of incredible, and I am beyond grateful for each and every single one of you who's watched and enjoyed my content. Now, I'm not going to give a whole dissertation on the trajectory of the channel over the last 12 months, but I do want to touch on a couple things that I thought actually went really well, and then also talk about some stuff that kind of didn't go so well. Obviously, starting with the good stuff, probably my biggest win outside the ones that I mentioned already is I feel like I finally settled on something of a formula for my videos. For a long time there, going back years, it kind of felt like I was going back and forth on my style and how I wanted my content to look. But I feel like this year, more than any other, I've been genuinely confident in how I'm presenting my videos to you guys. That's not to say I don't plan to shake things up or change stuff here and there, and I've actually already got some new and different content ideas planned for next year. But even with those changes or like variety in content, I'm still in a place where I feel like I can be confident that the videos are still gonna be good, if that makes sense. And on the subject of the quality of my content, last year I did say I wanted to upload more frequently while still maintaining the kind of higher level of content quality that I'd achieved, and honestly, I actually feel like I kind of managed to do that. Granted, I spent most of this year not actually feeling that way, but now that I've been full-time for about a month and actually like assessed the time and effort that I put into this channel, honestly, I'm kind of amazed that I was able to maintain the output I did for most of the year while still having a full-time job. Obviously, going into next year, things are going to ramp up even more since this is my full-time job now. But even though over the course of this year, some things either didn't get done or go up in as timely a fashion as I would have liked, I still feel like I did as well as I could have given the situation I was in. And finally, the last big content thing I feel like I achieved this year is finding a balance between Elden Ring content and the other stuff I want to do. I mentioned in last year's video that something I want to avoid, and still do want to avoid, is uploading Elden Ring just for the sake of uploading Elden Ring, but at the same time, I do acknowledge that Elden Ring is what the bulk of you guys kind of want to see. And I think especially towards the end of the year here, I managed to strike a really nice balance for me between the Elden Ring stuff and playing other games. And I mean, based on your feedback, it seems like you guys are enjoying it as well. Because to be clear, I'm totally fine if you're just here for Elden Ring. I'm not like mad you're not as interested in my other videos or anything like that. And I want to make sure that those of you who are just here for Elden Ring have enough content to enjoy. But at the same time, I don't want to feel like I'm being forced to play it. And at the moment, I think I've managed to find a really good rhythm where I'm uploading the game semi-frequently, but the video ideas I have still feel fun, and most importantly, I don't feel like I have to do them. I'm doing them because I want to, if that makes sense. So yeah, a lot of positives to note on the year. I think content-wise, I'm feeling like I'm in a pretty good place. All that being said though, moving on to the maybe not so positive part of this video. Up front, there was a lot of stuff I wanted to do this year that I just didn't do. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with me having a full-time job for most of the year and having to balance YouTube on top of that. But even still, there were plenty of things I didn't do or didn't get around to that I am a bit frustrated about. Like, for example, last year I said I really wanted to get into VTubing this year and start kind of incorporating that into my content and streams. And 365 days later, I have made exactly zero progress on that front. Like, seriously, it's not in the works or delayed or something fell through. I literally have not even started yet. Now, there's a few reasons for that. I promise I wasn't just being lazy. For one, obviously getting a project like that rolling is gonna be a big commitment, and as I already mentioned, I was stretched pretty thin time-wise for most of the year. And also, the few times I did start to do research or look into it, I kinda ended up lost in the sauce a little bit. VTuber models are like a whole world that, from like a tech technical perspective, I don't really know that much about. I do have an idea of what I want. I actually have a very distinct idea of what I want and how I'm gonna kind of incorporate that into my content, but I'm not really confident that I know how to get it, if that makes sense. And especially now with us having passed 100,000 subscribers, and I've seen so many of you guys naming me as your favorite channel, or your favorite creator, or your favorite streamer, or whatever, I feel like I owe it not just to myself, but also to you guys, to not just trot out something half-assed or, like, good enough, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's something where I'm really hoping to get the ball rolling in 2026. I don't know if it'll happen, but I'm hoping it does. Another thing I said I wanted to do this year is find a way to push my variety content a little bit more, and work on building that side of the audience along with Elden Ring. And to be fair, I think I actually kind of did do that. Obviously, this year I was playing mostly Souls-likes on the channel, but still, videos like Hollow Knight, Code Vein, and the early Kazan stuff were all really well received. And I'm still getting comments from people asking if I'm going to continue Digimon Story Time Stranger. But where I think I sort of failed this year is keeping people's interest over the course of a series. Obviously, any Let's Play is going to have less viewers at the end than it does at the beginning. That's just kind of how Let's Plays work. But for my series, I think the biggest problem is how long it was taking me to get videos out. Like, as an example, if you look at the Kazan playlist, at first glance, it kind of seems like people just lost interest halfway through. But if you look at the actual dates on the videos and like when they were uploaded, it starts to make sense, because obviously people are going to be less interested in a game a month and a half after it comes out than they are on like release week. So hopefully now that I'm full-time, this is something I can fix in 2026 for all the new titles I'm going to be playing anyway. And as far as other variety goes, I do have some ideas for videos that are a little bit more in the style of my Elden Ring stuff actually, but on different games. I have one hopefully coming out in January that I'm really excited for, so we'll see how that does too. And lastly here, and to be honest, this is probably my biggest frustration on the year, is last year I said I wanted to reach out to more content creators and make more friends in the space or the industry or whatever you want to call it. Now, to be clear, I did make some amazing friends this year. Like Evan and Hanako and Narrator are all so nice, and the content that we did together was an absolute blast. Definitely going to be doing more of that next year. But recently, I've been seeing a lot of like year-end posts from other creators with, you know, their friends or frequent collaborators or whatever, and I kind of realized I don't have anything like that. Like, even within the Souls community. If you didn't see it, Let Me Solo Her had this amazing art piece done with all these other creators that he's been hanging out with, and I gotta admit, dude, I got a little bit of FOMO over that one. In no small part because I briefly considered actually having a similar art piece done for when we hit 100,000 subscribers, but instead of it being with other content creators, it was gonna be like me, Giga Cheese, Moog, Wukong, and like other characters from the games I've played. And I kinda got smacked over the head with the irony of somebody having this piece done with all their like real life friends, and mine was gonna be me and a bunch of fictional characters, some of whom are played by me. But the point of all this rambling is to say, next year I really want to be more proactive about reaching out to other creators and doing more collaborative content, even if just to break up the monotony and getting to talk to some other people, rather than yelling at Elden Ring by myself for the millionth time. Oh, also, to that end, if you're still here, please go follow me on Twitter. I feel like Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia when I say this, but I just have a hunch, a nagging feeling, if you will, that part of the reason I do get passed over for stuff or ignored in DMs or sponsors don't want to talk to me is I feel like people look at the follower count over there and then just choose to ignore the rest of it. I know it sounds petty and psychotic, but I just can't shake the feeling. So yeah, go follow me on Twitter if you haven't yet. I apologize in advance for my unhinged NBA rants. Anyway, moving on from the whining portion of the video, now's where I'm going to talk about some goals for the channel next year. Obviously, I already talked about wanting to do VTubing and reaching out to collab more and stuff. Another thing I want to do next year is members content. I briefly talked about this in my announcement video where I told you guys I was quitting my job, but I do want to start doing a bit of members only content here and there, because people have been asking for memberships for a long time now, and I've been putting off opening those because I want to actually give you something worth being a member for. So yeah, expect some of that hopefully soon. I've got a few ideas of videos that I could do that'll be like members exclusive, and obviously we can tweak things as we go, or, you know, do viewer suggestions, things like that, but I'm hoping that'll go well. And just to be clear, for those of you who do not want to pay for content, obviously I'm not going to be paywalling anything I would be doing anyway, so don't worry, there won't be any like members only Giga Cheese or anything like that. At least at the beginning, I'm planning to do videos on stuff that I'm not sure if a ton of people would want to see outside of like my very dedicated viewers, or maybe I don't think it'll like do well in the algorithm or something like that. And in the vein of other forms of content, another thing I want to do next year is get back into streaming and start streaming a bit more frequently. Obviously, I've been kind of slacking on it with all the projects I've had building up and, you know, the holidays and everything, but I do want to start streaming again in the new year, and depending on how it goes, I may or may not try moving over to Twitch and doing like a multi-stream kind of thing. This is thinking very long term. This is not happening like tomorrow or anything like that. But a few of the other content creators that I've talked to have basically told me that there's really no reason not to be on Twitch, especially with how, I guess, easy multi-streaming is now. So that might be something I look into continue in the event that, you know, people seem to be enjoying the stream content. As far as what I'm going to be streaming, I honestly have no idea. I don't really want to do challenge runs anymore, I think. I've kind of come to the conclusion I don't really enjoy doing those live, but I'm sure I'll find something fun for us to do. Or if not, I don't know, we could just hang out and play Elden Ring for the 100th time. Who knows? And with all that rambling being said, I think I'll bring this video to a close here. And I do want to say again, in spite of all the shortcomings and stuff I want to work on, overall, I do think that this was an extremely successful year for the channel. Like I said at the beginning, I am beyond grateful to you guys for putting me into this position where I can do what I genuinely love for a living. And trust me, I'm planning to work my ass off next year to make sure I continue to deserve it. And with all that being said, as always, if you did enjoy this video, definitely make sure you leave a like. And if you're new or you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel and go follow me on Twitter for updates and stuff. That's about it. I'll see you guys in the next one.